Enzo Maresca reveals he is no Pep Guardiola clone. Today, my friends, I'm here to discuss all the stories that dropped the last 24 hours, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. If you have not watched my match review on this morning's big 3-0 win against Club America, in which we saw a very encouraging performance, I suggest you guys do that. You'll see that in the card above. Of course, show some love, hit that like button, share your thoughts and opinions, and let's get straight into things. We turn our attentions to Italy because a report came out suggesting that Arsenal, Man United and Spurs have all made recent contact with Chiesa's agent Infali Ramadani. Now, we remember him for being the agent that worked alongside Mauricio Sarri when we were first engineering his move for Napoli. But as we know, with Chiesa now not agreeing to sign a contract extension with Juventus naturally won't be allowing him to leave on a free, where he can sign pre-contracts from January. They are willing to cash in on him. Now, it surprises me because I felt like maybe Chiesa would maybe prosper a lot more working under Thiago Motta, but I guess no agreement could be found. It is what it is. And I have to say that Chiesa had a pretty respectable season last season. He got 9 goals, 2 assists in like 33 games. He was Juve's second top scorer, with Vlahovic leading with like 16 goals and 4 assists. But he has been very prone to injuries. He has been very unlucky, I should say, with injuries. Of course, having an ACL, which kept him out for a significant amount of time. So a lot of Juve fans have always felt like, have they necessarily seen the full potential, hype and promise that was once promised by Chiesa when they signed him from Fiorentina all those seasons back? Now, I do think that we should have some grace for the player because things haven't been so easy for him. Of course, Allegri's attacking system was not getting the best out of most players, and a lot of times Chiesa would find himself isolated without any proper support, and it was like he would have to single-handedly scheme up ways to push Juventus up the field. On top of that, he was used out of position when he was recovering back from his injury, playing up front in Juve's 3-5-2 system. So I can understand why maybe he hasn't had the type of environment recently that's allowed him to really push on, move past his injuries, and, fulfill the potential that he has. But I do think that recent small glimpse that we saw in this summer's Euros, he was like the main attacking threat for Italy. And that is an encouraging sign that, he had more consistency with his fitness last season. He looked very good at the Euros. Maybe a new environment, a new club, a new league. That is what Chiesa needs right now to reinvigorate his whole career. I mean, he is a very capable player, very direct, two-footed. At Juve, he wasn't constantly allowed to play close to goal like he'd like to. And when he did play close to goal, he was playing as a striker, not really playing his best games. So I could see why we would hold discussions with his agent. It doesn't guarantee we're set to sign him, but you want to understand the conditions, right? Because see it like this. Imagine there's like 5 players on the left wing that we're looking to sign. These are the profiles that can play up front, but also play on the wing as well. So it only makes sense that you complete that 5-target shortlist, right? And it wouldn't surprise me if Chiesa, based on the finances you could acquire him for this summer, would be on our list. Do I think we should definitely go for him? Personally, I'm not too sure. I probably wouldn't. But equally at the same time, I'm feeling like I'm accepting some of the business that we are set to have to do now this summer. What does it say for like Sterling and Mudryk? I mean, they still exist at the football club, and you think to yourself, do we necessarily really need that left winger in the team, considering our main attacking threat will probably come from our attacking mids and our midfield players? So I'm pretty indifferent to this news in general, to be fair with you, but that's only my take. How do you guys feel about this? Would you take a risk on Chiesa, or do you think this is an absolute waste of time and this is not the type of player we should be going for anymore at this point in time? Let us know below. And now we discuss Enzo Maresca's first big personal interview that came out today from outlets like the Daily Mail and The Athletic. I'm going to give you guys a summary of all the key points Maresca was discussing, and of course the big one being Maresca is not a Pep Guardiola clone. Let's get into things now. And one of the first things Chiesa said when he was discussing the similarities between him and Guardiola physically, based on the fact that they are follically challenged. I think that's a nice way to keep it respectful with our new manager, right? Maresca kind of like jokingly pointing to his head, saying that, you know what, my wife, she would probably love if I had a full set of hair, right? But Unfortunately, I am like this, so everyone is thinking that you're pretending to be Pep Guardiola. Is it something annoying? No, because in the end, I have my wife, I have my kids, I have my family. We are all different. Yeah, he's not lying, we are different. Some people have hair and some people don't. But anyway, to move on, he revealed though that Pep Guardiola was actually happy for him when it was announced that he was set to become our new manager. And he said that Pep feels like we can actually build something at this football club. And Maresca showed his gratitude towards Pep Guardiola. Now, in my opinion, I'm expecting a bit of a professional rivalry between them, even though they have a good friendship. We've seen that recently in the Premier League over the last few seasons. There's no real hate or animosity at the top level anymore. I know we missed that back when we were younger, and that used to be what the Premier League was about, right? But different times, different era. I can kind of accept it, to be fair with you. But anyway, to move on though, Maresca revealed where his initial love for his current football philosophy actually came from, and he recounts his time playing as a player for Sevilla all those years back when it used to be like Dani Alves playing as the right winger. Jesus Navas was still a teenager at the time and only starting to make his name at Sevilla. I remember that team, Canute. Sevilla used to be a very, very nice team back in the day. And he revealed that after playing against Guardiola's Barcelona team, he would go on YouTube and analyze and watch the training sessions to really understand the football at play and to understand the philosophy of that. And this is where his initial love for his current approach to management actually came from. Now, we do learn some context behind his recent hirings at Leicester City and our football club, and he revealed that at Leicester, they hired him to play the Man City way because they've been desperate to play this possession brand of football. But Maresca refuted that, saying that he didn't even have the same players at Leicester City that they have at Man City, so don't expect any type of comparison or anything like that. But he also revealed that when we hired him, and that was when Lawrence Stewart, Winsley and Egbali held face-to-face meetings with him, we also kind of alluded to the fact that we wanted to create this Man City brand of football at our football club. And Maresca gave the same type of answer back to them, saying, listen, I have different types of players here. You can't expect me to be this Man City clone. In those initial meetings between himself and our directors and owners, he revealed that our players would need time and patience to understand a new way of playing and a new way of being. And Maresca said that just because I have some resemblance physically to Guardiola and love the idea of the football philosophy I play, it does not mean I'm here to copy everything that I saw at Man City. That does not excite me, and what I do is not exactly the same at all. And it makes sense. Just because you like the philosophy, there's different ways in which you can approach that philosophy, right? Let's say, for example, you're a manager that wants to play more defensively and on the counter-attack. You have to decide, okay, do I believe in wing play? Do I believe in using powerful forwards? Do I believe in my midfield being the main focus in this team? There's so many different ways in which you can add your own twist, spin, and feel to things. So, I can definitely understand and accept what Maresca is actually saying. But I have to say, this interview was pretty insightful. We learned a few more things, with Maresca saying that in that 4-2 defeat against us, in the FA Cup last season, during the video analysis sessions where he watched around 6 of our games to understand a way to beat us, him and his team at the time felt like we had untapped potential and something could be done here. And in those video analysis sessions, here's what Maresca himself realized. And as he said, I almost never saw man-to-man high pressing. Since we started, we have decided to go man-to-man because it is our way. Aggressive. It's not only on the ball, it is a big change. For me, the biggest difference between us and the teams that dominate, City and Arsenal, is that one club is with the same manager 8 years and the other 5 years. We have had 2 or 3 weeks. I am 100% sure we are on the right path, and I think he's saying absolute facts. As we know, Pochettino prefers to use more of a mid-block setup and structure, whereas, Maresca wants to go man-to-man. He wants to defend aggressively up top, and that will take time to really perfect. And To end with things, we also learned that another big club actually tried to hire Maresca before we did, so he had a ton of interest from big clubs across Europe after him, but in the end he decided to come to us. He felt like we were the best projects and he felt like he could do something. So, you know, it's an encouraging interview, especially after yesterday's really nice and impressive performance against Club America. The big tests now will come against your Madrids, your Man Cities and your Inter Milans, but hopefully now, with the team starting to fine-tune some of the mistakes already this quickly, I'm kind of optimistic about how we approach these games, because I'm feeling like if you're a team that wants to give us some space, I feel like our players normally come to life in these moments, right? So that is everything we learned in Maresca's interview today. Share your thoughts and opinions. Do you feel like Maresca is another Pep clone? Or do you see the differences he is trying to instill here? Let us know below. And now to move on, I will give my thoughts and opinions on everything surrounding Conor Gallagher. Now, in terms of the news, as we've learned, the club have accepted Atletico Madrid's bid of around 40 million euros in total for Conor Gallagher. Makes sense. From January, he can sign pre-contract agreements, and at the moment, it seems like Gallagher won't be remaining because news also was broken that Gallagher had turned down a new 3-year deal presented to him by the football club, and with this deal in particular, Gallagher would have been paid comparable wages to the highest earning midfield players at the club currently. Now that's not identical, it just means that it was a figure relatively close to what maybe Caicedo and Enzo are currently earning, which may have been around maybe 140, 150k, but there's no point speculating on what the fee was. This was then turned down by Conor Gallagher. And in the meantime, we've learned that Gallagher also turned down a move to Aston Villa, where Aston Villa made a club record move to try and sign Gallagher. And that fee was around £58 million in total, which is a crazy amount of money. Since rejecting that and with interest not dying down, but with clubs not willing to sign him for the fee and price that we initially wanted them for, it seems like we could be forced in a position where we are selling Gallagher for less than what we initially had entailed. And that was around £50 million and something close to what we sold Mason Mount for. Now that we have accepted this offer from Atletico Madrid, the ball is now in Gallagher's court. And it seems like by the 6th of August, he will have an answer and he will decide his future. But there's a massive chance that this could be Gallagher's farewell at the football club. I know that the fan base is kind of like mixed. On one side, people are feeling sentimental. They're like, listen, this is a guy that came from our academy. He's one of the best performing players last season, one of the most reliable ones. He understands the club. And I feel like I'm losing my connection a little bit based on just how easily the new ownership kind of dismisses anything that exists before they arrive. And I understand that. On the other hand, some people feel like, well, with the direction we're going down and with players signed ahead of him, and with more players set to arrive in your Kendrys from next summer, a sacrifice was set to come, and Gallagher may have to be that sacrifice for this new future the club are looking to build. Now, you decide where you fall, but what I will say is that it doesn't surprise me that Gallagher turned down the contract extension because it wasn't really a proper extension. It would have been 4 years minimum, not 2 years plus a 1-year deal. It's very similar to the extension that Maatsen signed before he got his move, and essentially you only get that type of deal so you can kind of inflate your valuation and keep that value high in the market. I think after everything Gallagher's done, that is not the way he's going to leave this football club. I completely understand that and I respect that too. And now he must decide whether he accepts this offer at Atletico Madrid or whether him and his team feel like, you know what, remaining here for another season, leaving on a free where I'll sign a massive signing on fee, where I'll have even more clubs after me with better footballing opportunities. What do I decide to do? I think it's a pretty difficult dilemma to be in, because Atletico Madrid could pave the way for a very high profile career. They're regularly in the Champions League. You have the chance to work under one of the best managers in Europe in Diego Simeone, where, you know, your whole like ethos as a player is actually supported by his manager. And at the same time, it offers you the possibility to become a better player, playing in La Liga, a more technical league. I mean, look what it did for Kieran Trippier. He was at Atleti for 2 years and he became an England regular after that. And I do feel like with Gallagher's improvement over the past 3 years, at 24 years old, this is the pre-peak stage where from 24 to 27, if you're being used properly, playing for the right manager in the right club, you can go up another level. And I think Under Simeone, Gallagher could be one of the most imposing midfield players, similar to your Arturo Vidal's. I keep making that comparison all the time because I really see a lot of Vidal in Conor Gallagher. Him and Simeone could be that match made in heaven. But then equally, you think to yourself, what if he wants to stay in this country? He becomes a lot more attractive then on a free for bigger clubs, and Gallagher and his family can earn more money from that. You know, it's not a long career and you must maximize your earnings when you can. I think it's a hard one, but I think if I'm Gallagher, I may be deciding to accept this move because it's not about the football at this point. Because realistically, Gallagher could remain here. Realistically, he could force himself into Maresca's plans as he's done under every single manager since he's returned back to this football club from loan. But that will always be capped by the ownership and the directors because there's a vision they're building in their heads. They've already signed a lot of players already in preparation, in advance for this type of new era, right? And they just don't really respect or care about what came before. And when you got a Kendry coming next season, who must get that game time to develop, I guess maybe you think to yourself, Gallagher is worth sacrificing knowing that you're Kendry in the future, having those minutes in the team. He will benefit, and this will benefit our vision even more. The bottleneck will always be that the directors will never be in agreement in terms of how they value you. I think after the season he had last season, where he was probably our best midfield player, where he was the guy that made everyone better in the team, you supported your Enzos, Caicedos. He came in with 7 goals and 9 assists. It was an all-action display we saw from him, where in every single week, outside of maybe 4-5 games, this guy was constantly putting in 7 out of 10s at a bare minimum. That is very hard to maintain that consistency whilst keeping that fitness and always being available for us. And I think one of my lasting memories of Conor will be his final moments in our last game of last season, where in like the final few seconds of the game, bust back, last ditch challenge to put up Solanke. And you know, that's what Gallagher's all about, you know, putting in those hard yards that most other guys can't do. To have him in your team, you know, he's a big value, and this is why all the teammates were in big support for him last season. I think he's more than good enough to play for us. He is more than good enough to play this Maresca ball. I'm really getting a bit frustrated and bored by all these connotations that this football's too technical for him, and for God's sake, it's kind of like automatic. We saw Ndidi move from DM to playing as a 10 for the first time in his career, and he was able to survive and play quite well. So personally, I find analysis that suggests Gallagher's not technically good enough to play this football really lazy, really short-sighted, and it just goes to show that all the positives he did, like the wide runs he made for Cole Palmer last season to allow Palmer to move in field, the positions he took up in midfield, you know, my God, the key passes. One of the best things about Gallagher is that when he wins that ball back, he plays it forward, tempo, quickly. And like for the first half of last season, I think he was the leading player with the most key passes made in the league, simply because he would win that ball back, Kante-esque, and then release it to his teammates. Why do you think he got so many assists last season? But again, when you can put in the season like you did last season and it's still not enough, it goes to show that nothing will ever be enough. Even if he was the guy that scored the match winner for England at the Euros, it wouldn't be enough, because now I think it's beyond him. So in my opinion, I think Alessi is an incredible opportunity, and I think he could have some great success under Simeone. So that's my take on the Gallagher situation, my friends. Share your thoughts and opinions. And on that note, I'm going to wrap things up now and keep things moving. So I'm going to release a video tomorrow, just breaking down that 3-0 win against Club America in even more detail. So stay tuned for that, on top of a preview as well for Man City. So my friends, I'm Mini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. See you all soon.